My name is Tony Gomez. The company name is Pleating and Smocking. The company was founded in 1995 by my father, who's been in the pleating and stitching industry since the 70s, late 70s. It is a family business. Most of our employees have been with us, I'd say at least 10 years plus. We're a pleating and stitching company. You know, smocking, embroidery, your unique stitches. We enhance textiles. That's what we do, that's our job. We make fabrics look pretty. So, on this side, we do pretty much most of the hand pleats. And if you look this way, this is a 25-yard long table, but if you look down here, everything here is all manila papers or pleating patterns that we use, and we actually mold them, make them by hand. You have to mark them, you score them, and then you fold them, and then you got to steam them up, roll them up, make a top and a bottom.
And how old are these templates?
Those specific ones, probably I'd say 5 years old, but if you treat them right, it probably lasts you about 10 years. After that, I mean, you can start seeing already, we call those the bottoms. It's just kind of what you wrap the pattern in. It's going to get deteriorated because we put them in steam, which has water, so it's paper, so it's going to deteriorate with time.
Is there anything you have to do once it comes out?
Yeah, absolutely.
To protect
yeah.
that? Do you have to fold it up right away to make sure?
Not necessarily, but when it comes out of the steam box, you want to cool it down. We have a fan back there. You got to give it. Obviously, the fan is there to speed up the process. But if you leave something overnight, it's going to be fine once you take it out, and it just makes the piece, not only the fabric, but the actual pattern itself nice and dry. So it comes out, the fabric is nice and crispy, and the pattern is ready to go for another round.
How many templates do you think that you have down here?
Wow. So they call the sunbursts, we usually call them in sets. So when one person is pleating a set and is doing production, they usually have about 30, and that's one person, just 30 sets. So they pleat 15, they got the other 15 in the steam box, and those cool down, they're ready to go, and they kind of have this continuous rotation going. Standard pleat is something very short. I mean, we cap it usually with prices too. Under 36 inches. If it's under 36 inches, I mean, I can hold it in my hand, I can reach out and reach the bottom, it's one price. Once you go over that, I need 2 people now, so your price increases too. But that means that you also have to have a template for the short pieces and a template for the long ones. So we have multiple patterns. So to pretty much answer your question, how many patterns are here, the more I think about it now, you probably have at least 1,000 sunburst pleat, one basic pattern, just sunburst alone. Not to mention your other basic knife boxes that are just going straight across. And then your giant origami patterns too. I mean, those are big and they take up a lot of real estate too, but that's probably well over 1,000 patterns in-house. Sunburst obviously looks like an accordion like the instrument, but it starts off very narrow at the top, and then it gets wider as the pleat goes down. This sunburst that we have is special because unlike your basic sunburst pleats that are about 3.5 yards wide, this one's actually 5.5 yards to almost 6 yards wide, and we custom made this for a wedding designer. The center front, the center back are only going to be the basic standard height, but the side seams are going to be very, very wide. I mean, 2-3 yards almost out. Again, the interesting part about this one was it doesn't fit in our standard steam box. So we have to put it in this gigantic 6-yard tall steam box. We're probably the only ones probably in the world that have a steam box specifically for pleating that tall. If you're not steaming something, you're not gonna do anything with it. You can put it in a template, but if it's not heated correctly, you're never gonna hold the pleating. So if something isn't pleated by hand, and it's usually smaller than 1/2 inch, we have pleating machines. We have 10 of these. This here is called a combination pleat machine. And it's called a combination because it can make a combination of a box or a knife or together at the same time, or just boxes or just knives. Specific machine is from 1980. This one was custom built 1982. So it's about 40, it's a little bit over 40 years old. But this is all these do. Again, it becomes tricky once you're pleating something that's over 1/2 inch. So release pleating is really what happens when you take the machine and you're releasing either the bands or the springs to only pleat a certain section of it, and then kind of make this somewhat loose look on the other side. And that's keeping pressure on there. This thing there is that when it rolls through the machine, it's just pushing it down. That's what creates a little tiny accordion pleat. Once it comes out, you see that the garment is only partially pleated.
You have to calibrate them?
We do,
Manually,
absolutely,
or-
yeah. I mean, you pretty much calibrate them every single time. Even like, let's say you bring in 20 yards, 10 yards of poly and 10 yards of some organza. You might have to calibrate them for every single time you switch the fabric over. It doesn't work the same for every fabric. And sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't.
You could turn this place into a museum.
Probably.
It's